My twin sister hijacked my identity to demolish my financial standing, so I reciprocated by dismantling her wedding. Maya and I mirrored each other physically but diverged completely in ethics. For 23 years, we shared everything: clothes, friends, even boyfriends at times. What I never suspected was that she'd also been exploiting my social security number. The revelation came when my dream apartment application was rejected. The landlord regarded me with utter contempt. "Ma'am, your credit score is 340. You owe $47,000 across 17 unpaid accounts." A wave of horror washed over me. I'd never possessed a credit card in my life. That night, reviewing my credit report made me physically sick. Maya had opened 17 accounts in my name over 3 years. She'd financed a BMW, funded her master's degree, indulged in luxury vacations, and seemingly lived off cash advances while I worked double shifts at a diner, scraping together savings for my future. The cruelest irony? She resided in a lavish downtown loft with marble countertops while I crammed into a tiny studio with roommates who left filth everywhere. When I confronted her the next morning, she didn't even bother denying it. "I needed the money," she stated casually, filing her immaculate nails. "Besides, we're twins. What's mine is yours, right? I figured you'd understand. You obliterated my entire financial future, Maya." She shrugged as if I'd complained about borrowing a sweater. "You'll manage. You always do. You're the responsible one, remember?" For 6 grueling months, I pursued justice through legal channels, fraud reports, police statements, credit disputes, lawyer consultations. Maya had been meticulous. She knew my social security number, my mother's maiden name, my first pet's name, everything needed to convince banks and credit agencies she was me. Fraud investigators explained twin identity theft was nearly impossible to prove without video evidence of her making purchases. It's essentially her word against yours, and she's covered her tracks exceptionally well. Maya got engaged that autumn to Richard, a successful investment banker who believed he was marrying sweet, financially responsible Maya, the same Maya planning their extravagant dream wedding with my stolen funds. I learned of the engagement when she sent me a gold-embossed invitation. "I want you as my maid of honor," she beamed over coffee. "We're family, and family should celebrate together." That's when the realization struck me like a physical blow. Legal justice was too slow, but other forms of retribution existed. I began plotting my revenge. Richard had no inkling of the woman he was truly marrying. Maya had fabricated a perfect persona, claiming she was debt-free with excellent credit, and worked as a nonprofit volunteer coordinator, concealing she'd never held a job longer than 3 months. For the next 6 months, I became the supportive sister she always assumed I was, helpful, involved in every wedding detail. I offered to manage all vendors, citing Maya's demanding nonprofit work. I insisted on paying deposits upfront to ease their cash flow. Richard praised Maya endlessly for having such a generous sister. What he didn't know was I was meticulously constructing an airtight paper trail. Every vendor contract I signed included detailed liability clauses crafted with a lawyer friend's help. Every payment came with exhaustive documentation, clearly stating the purchaser's identity and full responsibility for damages or unpaid balances. I ensured my name never appeared as the financially liable party. Meanwhile, Maya lived like a socialite princess. She resumed using my name for everything: expensive spa treatments, designer dress fittings, jewelry shopping, even a Parisian bachelorette weekend with 6 bridesmaids, all charged to credit cards in my name she'd somehow kept active despite my fraud reports. I documented everything: photos of her physically using my cards at restaurants and stores, screenshots of her social media flaunting purchases I'd never made from locations I'd never visited, bank statements proving I worked overtime just to cover basic expenses while she charged thousands daily to my accounts. I created spreadsheets tracking every fraudulent purchase, photographed receipts she carelessly discarded, and even hired a private investigator to follow her for a week, documenting a lifestyle utterly incompatible with her claimed income. The investigator's report was damning. Maya began her days at $15 A-pop coffee shops, charging lattes and pastries to my American Express. She spent hours at high-end boutiques trying on clothes costing more than my monthly rent. She got weekly manicures and pedicures at exclusive salons, always billing my stolen cards. Her social media told the story perfectly: photos in designer outfits with tags intact, videos at expensive restaurants ordering the priciest items, selfies from luxury spas getting $200 facials and massages. Meanwhile, my own social media showed my reality: pictures in my diner uniform, exhausted after double shifts, posts about choosing between groceries and gas, photos of my tiny apartment with hand-me-down furniture and a mattress on the floor. The contrast was stark and infuriating. 3 weeks before the wedding, I met Richard's best friend Jake, a corporate lawyer known for thoroughness and fairness, at a quiet downtown coffee shop. "I need to show you something critical," I said. "Seriously. But you must promise to hear me out completely before reacting." I laid out everything methodically: credit reports showing years of fraud, bank statements proving financial ruin, photos of Maya using my identity, police reports dismissed or ignored. Jake's face grew paler with each document. Jesus Christ, he whispered, examining the evidence. She systematically defrauded you for years. This isn't just identity theft, it's organized financial abuse. And now she's about to defraud your best friend on an even larger scale. I showed him Maya's fabricated employment records and financial statements given to Richard. Richard thinks she earns $85,000 annually at a nonprofit. He believes she has $30,000 in savings and excellent credit. He's planning their entire financial future on these lies. She's never held a real job longer than 3 months. The only money she accesses comes from stealing my identity. Then I revealed the most damaging evidence. Recent credit applications where Maya had listed Richard's income and employment details to qualify for more cards in my name. She's planning to further destroy my credit using his financial information as collateral, I explained. After marriage, the financial damage will multiply exponentially. Shared assets, shared debt, shared legal responsibility for everything she's done. Jake studied the documents for a long time. This is criminal conspiracy, he stated finally. She's not just stealing from you anymore, she's planning to use Richard as an unwitting accomplice. After marriage, he could be held legally liable for debts she accumulates in your name, using his income as qualification. Exactly, I said. She's setting him up as her next victim while continuing to destroy my life. Jake closed the thick evidence folder and stared intently. What exactly do you want me to do with this? I need your help ensuring Richard knows exactly who he's marrying before he legally binds himself to a criminal, I said firmly. And I want Maya to face real consequences for what she's done to both of us. We spent the next 2 hours developing a comprehensive strategy to expose Maya's crimes publicly while protecting Richard from further financial harm. Jake's legal expertise helped me present the evidence for maximum impact. Timing is crucial, he explained. We need to present this when she can't deny it, can't run, and can't manipulate the situation. When she's trapped and must face the truth before everyone who matters to her. The wedding, I said immediately. The wedding, he agreed. We refined the plan over subsequent meetings. Jake would position Richard's family and key guests in advance, ensuring they understood the gravity. I would handle the evidence presentation. We coordinated timing for maximum impact, while giving Richard the information needed to protect himself legally. Jake also connected me with FBI agent Sarah Chen, who specialized in identity theft. After reviewing my evidence, Agent Chen confirmed Maya's actions constituted multiple federal crimes. Twin identity theft is notoriously difficult to prosecute, she explained, but you've documented this exceptionally well. The evidence is overwhelming. She agreed to attend the wedding as backup in case Maya fled or became violent. The week before the wedding, Maya's spending reached absurd levels. She charged $3,000 for dress alterations, $2,000 for hair and makeup trials, $500 for shoes and accessories, $800 for lingerie and perfume. Every purchase was documented, every charge photographed, every receipt saved. She even used my credit to fund her bridesmaids' $1,200 spa day. The bridesmaids had no idea they were being pampered with stolen money. The $4,000 rehearsal dinner alone was charged to my visa. Maya ordered premium champagne and the most expensive entrees for 30 guests. She gave a speech about family, love, and gratitude, while literally stealing from me to pay for the evening. I smiled and applauded with everyone else, knowing her world would collapse completely in less than 24 hours. On the wedding morning, Maya stood in her $3,000 designer dress, charged to My American Express, oblivious that her perfect day was about to become a nightmare. I arrived early to help with final preparations, carrying a large accordion folder filled with meticulously organized evidence. You look absolutely beautiful, I told her, meaning it genuinely. Maya had always been stunning. Perfect bone structure, flawless skin, natural charisma. It was a key reason she'd evaded consequences for so long. The venue was spectacular. A historic lakeside mansion with manicured gardens and marble terraces, costing $15,000 just for the day rental. Every penny charged to My American Express, somehow still active despite fraud reports. The florist's elaborate white rose and peony arrangements cost $3,000. The renowned photographer charged $5,000. The string quartet practicing in the corner cost $2,000. Every expense billed to my stolen credit. Guests arrived promptly at 2 p.m. in formal wear. Richard's family filled one chapel side. Doctors, lawyers, successful business owners, old money families valuing reputation and financial stability. Maya's family occupied the other, looking intimidated by Richard's connections. Our parents, always middle class and honest, had no idea their daughter had lived a fabricated life for years. At 2:30, Richard pulled me aside in the mansion's library. I need to thank you personally, he said earnestly. Maya told me how incredibly supportive you've been, helping with wedding costs since her nonprofit work doesn't pay well. You're an amazing sister. My heart pounded as I prepared to shatter his world. Actually, Richard, I said gently, we really need to discuss that before the ceremony. I handed him a thick manila envelope with his name in careful script. These are the real vendor contracts and Maya's actual financial records. You need to see them before making this legal commitment. His hand shook slightly as he opened the envelope. I watched his face transform, confusion to shock shock to disbelief, disbelief to rage. "This can't be right," he whispered, flipping through pages of evidence. "Maya doesn't have credit cards. She told me she pays cash for everything because she doesn't believe in debt. Every single charge was made with credit cards opened illegally in my name," I explained quietly. "Maya has been using my social security number and personal information to fund your entire relationship." Richard's face paled as he grasped the deception's magnitude. "The apartment you think she pays for with her nonprofit salary? Charged to my stolen credit. The BMW she drives? Financed using my identity. This wedding? Every expense is on a card she opened by pretending to be me." He kept reading, hands shaking violently. "She even used your income information to qualify for additional cards," I continued. "After marriage, you'd be legally responsible for debts she accumulated by stealing my identity." Richard looked up, horror in his eyes. "How long has this been going on? 3 years, maybe longer?" He sank into a leather chair, evidence scattered around him. "Everything she's told me about herself is a lie. Everything." At 2:45, as guests were seated, Richard's parents approached me with barely controlled panic. "We understand there's been some serious mistake," his mother said tightly. Richard mentioned significant irregularities with wedding payments and Maya's financial information. I showed them everything systematically. Credit reports documenting years of fraud, police documentation filed and dismissed, overwhelming evidence their son's fiancé had used my stolen identity to fund their relationship and wedding. Richard's father, a prominent attorney himself, reviewed the documents professionally. "This is organized criminal fraud," he said grimly. "Multiple federal crimes. If Richard marries her, he could be liable as an accessory after the fact." His mother's face paled with shock and anger. "That woman has lied to our entire family for over a year. We welcomed her into our home, included her in family events, treated her like a daughter. She's very skilled at manipulation," I said. "She's had years of practice." Richard joined us, his face set in grim determination. "I've made my decision," he announced. "This wedding is not happening, and Maya will face consequences." "Where exactly is Maya getting ready?" Richard's father asked, his voice dangerously calm. The bridal suite was on the mansion's elegant second floor overlooking the gardens. Maya was having her makeup retouched, surrounded by 6 bridesmaids in lavender silk and her mother, who was crying happy tears. "Maya," I said softly, knocking and entering. "We need to talk privately, now." She looked radiant, glowing with confidence. Even when I firmly closed the door and asked everyone to leave, she sensed no danger. "What's wrong, honey? You look so serious. Nervous about the ceremony. Don't worry, everything will be perfect." I handed her a credit card statement. $12,000 charged this past month alone, all in my name. "This stops today, right now." Maya barely glanced at it, waving it away dismissively. "I honestly don't know what you're talking about. It's my wedding day. Can't this wait later? I need to finish getting ready. The vendor contracts for this entire wedding are written in my name," I said slowly and clearly. "Legal liability for every expense falls on me if payments aren't made. But here's the thing, Maya. I never signed a single contract or authorized any payments." For the first time, genuine uncertainty flickered across her perfect face. "What are you talking about? I handled all wedding arrangements using credit cards you opened illegally in my name," I said firmly. "Using my social security number, my personal information, my identity. You've been committing federal crimes for years." Maya's confidence cracked. "You're being dramatic. I borrowed some money, that's all. I'll pay it back. $50,000, Maya. You've stolen $50,000 from me, and you've used Richard's income to qualify for even more credit in my name." She stood abruptly, her dress rustling. "You're trying to ruin my wedding out of jealousy, Maya. You need to confess everything to Richard, his family, everyone downstairs. Tell them exactly what you've done with my identity and credit." She laughed, but it sounded brittle. "You're ridiculous. It's my wedding day. I'm not confessing to anything because I've done nothing wrong." "Actually," I said quietly, "today is the day you finally face real consequences for 3 years of federal crimes." I pulled out my phone and showed her a text from Agent Chen, in position, waiting for your signal. Maya's face went white. "You called the FBI?" "I called the FBI." At exactly 3 p.m., when the ceremony was to begin, Richard's groomsmen blocked all exits while Richard stood at the altar holding a wireless microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice echoing through the chapel, "I need to make an important announcement before proceeding." Maya appeared at the aisle's end in her stunning dress, confusion turning to panic as she took in the scene. "It has come to my attention through irrefutable evidence," Richard continued, his voice steady, "that my fiancé has been living an elaborate lie, not just to me, but to everyone here today." He held up the thick folder of credit reports and financial documents. "Maya has systematically stolen her twin sister's identity for 3 years. She's accumulated nearly $50,000 in fraudulent debt in her sister's name. She's never held the nonprofit job she claimed. She's never had the savings account she claimed. Everything about our relationship, And this wedding has been built on criminal fraud. The chapel erupted in shocked gasps and murmurs. Guests stared at Maya, frozen in the aisle. Maya started desperately toward the altar. Richard, please let me explain. This is a misunderstanding. The woman you think you know as Maya has been committing federal crimes that would have made me an unwitting accomplice after marriage, he said firmly. I will not legally bind myself to a criminal who used my financial information to commit additional fraud. Richard's family looked mortified and angry. Our parents appeared stricken with disbelief and shame. Maya's bridesmaids stared in shock, bouquets forgotten. But I wasn't finished. I stood slowly from the front row, turning to face the congregation. Maya, you have exactly 2 choices right now, I called out, my voice clear in the sudden silence. You can confess everything publicly here and now, and work with me to fix the financial damage, or I can signal the FBI agent waiting outside to arrest you in front of everyone you know. Maya's face crumpled as reality hit. She looked desperately around. At Richard's disgust, his parents' cold stares, our mother's tears of shame, guests pulling out phones to record her humiliation. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispered into the microphone, her voice breaking. Tell them everything, I said firmly. Tell them exactly what you've done and for how long. What followed was the most complete, humiliating confession I'd ever witnessed. Maya admitted opening numerous accounts in my name using my social security number. She confessed to funding her entire lifestyle with my credit for years. She acknowledged lying about her job, income, savings, her entire financial identity. She admitted forging my signature dozens of times. She described memorizing my personal information to convince bank representatives she was me, intercepting mail to hide her crimes, deliberately getting me turned down for apartments and loans to cover her tracks. The confession lasted nearly 20 minutes, Maya detailing crime after crime while the chapel sat stunned. Richard's father stood abruptly, his face rigid with anger. This wedding is officially over. Security will escort anyone wishing to leave immediately. Half the chapel emptied within minutes, guests practically running to avoid the scandal. The other half stayed to witness the complete social and financial meltdown. Richard approached Maya at the altar, removing his boutonniere and dropping it at her feet. We're done forever, he said firmly. I'll file a comprehensive police report about the fraudulent financial information you provided me. You used my income and employment details to qualify for additional credit cards in my sister's name. That makes me your victim, too. Maya collapsed into a chair at the altar, still in her expensive dress, makeup streaking her face as she sobbed uncontrollably. Our mother approached, her face a mix of shame and heartbreak. Maya, how could you do this to your sister? To your family? Maya looked up through tears. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just needed money, and it seemed so easy. Easy, I said, joining them, destroying my credit, ruining my future, stealing my identity. That seemed easy? You always had everything figured out, Maya said bitterly. Good grades, good job. Everyone said you were the responsible one. I just wanted nice things too, so you decided to steal them from me. But my revenge wasn't complete. The reception was set for the same venue immediately after the ceremony. 200 guests, a 5-course gourmet dinner, premium open bar, live band, elaborate florals, everything charged to my stolen cards over months. I found the catering manager in the kitchen, overseeing preparations for a reception that wouldn't happen. I need to speak urgently about payment for today's reception, I said seriously. She looked confused and slightly panicked. Everything's handled. Maya prepaid months ago through our payment plan. I showed her the vendor contracts, every one containing liability clauses crafted with legal help. Actually, everything was charged to fraudulent credit cards opened illegally in my name. This event was paid for with stolen funds now under federal investigation. The manager's eyes widened in horror. What does that mean for our business and today's reception? It means Maya is personally responsible for the full cost, I explained calmly. Since the cards were fraudulent, you'll need to collect payment directly from her before serving anything. The manager immediately called her supervisor, who called the venue owner, who called their attorney. Within an hour, Maya was presented with bills totaling $23,000 for the reception. I watched with satisfaction as Maya desperately tried to explain to the increasingly angry staff that she couldn't pay immediately, that her money was frozen in fraud investigations, that she needed time. Ma'am, the manager said firmly, if full payment isn't resolved immediately, we'll cancel the reception and involve our legal team. This constitutes fraud against our business too. Maya turned frantically to her parents, Richard's remaining family, her bridesmaids, anyone who might help. But the room emptied rapidly as people distanced themselves from the scandal. No one wanted association with a confirmed fraudster. Her bridesmaids, still in lavender, approached cautiously. Maya, one said carefully, we need to know. Did you pay for our spa day and dresses with stolen money too? Maya's silence was answer enough. The bridesmaids exchanged horrified looks and began removing bouquets and jewelry. We can't be part of this, another said. We had no idea we were accessories to credit card fraud. One by one, Maya's support system crumbled as people realized the extent of her deception. By 5 p.m., the venue was empty except for staff cleaning up, security guards, and a very expensive 3-tier wedding cake that would never be served. The cake alone cost $800 charged to my MasterCard. Maya found me in the parking lot as I loaded evidence boxes into my car, heading to the FBI field office. "This is all your fault," she hissed venomously, still in her disheveled wedding dress. "You ruined my wedding out of spite and jealousy." I looked at her, alone in an empty lot surrounded by the debris of her collapsed life. "No, Maya. You ruined your wedding when you built your life on lies, theft, and criminal fraud." "I'll fix everything," she said desperately, grabbing my arm. "I'll pay you back every penny. I'll make it right. I'll work the rest of my life to repay you. You'll face the legal consequences of your crimes," I said, removing her hand. "The FBI is investigating based on my evidence. Richard's pressing charges. The venue is suing. Every credit card company has your real name now." Agent Chen approached with 2 federal agents. "Maya Thompson," she said formally. "I'm Agent Chen with the FBI. We need you to come with us for questioning regarding multiple counts of identity theft and credit card fraud." Maya's face went white. "I want a lawyer." "That's your right," Agent Chen replied. "But based on the evidence we've reviewed and your confession before over 100 witnesses, I'm placing you under arrest." I watched them read Maya her rights and escort her to their vehicle, still in her wedding dress. The last I saw was her looking back at me through the window, her face a mix of hatred and defeat. The investigation moved swiftly. Maya's crimes were so well documented, prosecutors called it one of the clearest identity theft cases they'd seen. The evidence was comprehensive and irrefutable. Her court-appointed lawyer advised pleading guilty for a reduced sentence. The alternative was trial with overwhelming evidence, risking a much longer prison term. 3 months later, Maya stood before a federal judge and pleaded guilty to multiple federal charges: identity theft, credit card fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy to commit financial crimes. She received 18 months in federal prison and was ordered to pay full restitution, every penny stolen, plus interest, penalties, and damages, totaling $67,000. Richard married his college girlfriend the following spring. Someone real, with legitimate income and credit, who didn't need to steal an identity to afford her lifestyle. At his wedding, which I attended as a guest, his best man toasted honesty and trust in relationships. Everyone present at Maya's failed wedding understood the deeper meaning. I got my credit fully restored, my name legally cleared, and my financial future back on track. It took nearly 2 years of paperwork, calls, and legal proceedings, but every fraudulent account was closed, every negative mark removed. I was approved immediately for the apartment I'd originally been denied once my real credit score was restored, moving in 6 months after Maya's sentencing. Maya served her full sentence. Our mother said prison was difficult for her. No money, no luxuries, no way to manipulate people. Released 8 months ago, she now works at a hometown grocery store, living in our parents' basement, paying me $200 monthly for the rest of her life. Each payment comes with a handwritten note: "I'm sorry for what I did. I know I can never undo the damage, but I'm trying to make it right." It's not nearly enough to undo the years of devastation, the stress, humiliation, financial ruin, time lost restoring my identity, but it's a start toward accountability. Sometimes I see her at the grocery store. She always looks away, unable to meet my eyes. She knows everyone in town knows what she did. Her reputation never recovered from the public confession at her failed wedding. Richard occasionally sends updates. He's happily married now with a baby on the way. He thanks me regularly for saving him from a disastrous marriage built on lies. Maya never married. According to our mother, she hasn't dated since prison. It's hard to build relationships with a federal fraud conviction when everyone knows you're capable of stealing your own sister's identity. The experience changed me profoundly. I learned sometimes you must create your own justice when the system fails. I learned family loyalty has limits, especially when that family member is destroying your life. Most importantly, I learned revenge, when executed perfectly, can be far more satisfying than forgiveness. Maya destroyed my credit, but I destroyed her future. She stole my identity for 3 years, but I ensured she'll pay for it the rest of her life. Every month when that $200 payment arrives with its apology, I'm reminded some actions have permanent consequences. Maya learned that lesson the hard way, in front of everyone who mattered to her, on what should have been the happiest day of her life. And honestly, I sleep better knowing justice was finally served, even if I had to serve it myself.